My response is in regards to Michael, who asked the question, what are some ways that the capitalist system can be fixed so that the eventual collapse of the system doesn't happen, as well as a complete restructure into a new ideology? Michael also asked, what kind of regulations would allow for a more fair capitalist market? There's at least one really great question there, and I would first start by pointing back to one of our previous readings, 20 Years of Institutional Liberalism by Robert Keohane. In it, he says, James Madison was a Republican. The people should govern. He did not believe that people are good and easily ruled, but rather that power needs to be checked for fear of the consequences of unchecked power. Madison's idea of liberalism was that you curb the power of the government so as to allow the private individuals the rights and freedom that they need in order to flourish. Capitalism is essentially the same theory, instead of it being applied to political system, it's applied to an economic system. The idea being that you curb the power of the government and allow the market to self-regulate through private individuals and individual corporations. So, in response to what regulations would allow for a more fair capitalist market, I would say none. The idea behind capitalism being that there is no regulation on the market. You allow it to self-regulate. The first part of the question was what would prevent the eventual collapse of this system? And I would argue that if you take a look at most of the countries around the world that are having the most economic growth and or the highest economic mobility, what you'll find is that they are all either capitalist or at least mixed capitalist. We've already discussed what capitalism is, but mixed capitalism is essentially the idea that you have mostly a free market system with small government intervention and regulations. And so what this does is it allows for the market to grow and self-regulate, and it also provides the owners and the workers to have the ability for economic mobility. Economic mobility being the ability for someone who is born into one economic class to be able to move into other economic classes, either up or down. So again, you find that mostly the countries that have the highest economic growth and economic mobility are either already capitalist or mixed capitalism. And based on that, I would go and argue that there is no future case where we could see a collapse of capitalism as an economic system in the world. Thanks.